crypto assets are owned by the very wealthy. A minority of people own the majority, and they use that power to manipulate the markets and change it to their benefit, while average everyday people hope to be one of the many lucky ones who jump on board a thing like a Dogecoin while it rises and then gets out in time and don't stay on board as it sinks, while all the memes and everyone around you is telling you hold the line, hold the line. Like that's the sad aspect of this. So this is once again capitalism ruining innovation, capitalism ruining an industry, capitalism ruining lives, and every single person who's gotten played in this process should come to realize that this is just yet another example of this process playing out. So fuck capitalism, come on board. All right, it's time to talk about crypto. It's
hard to believe that only a week ago, Luna was one of the top cryptocurrencies with billions of dollars flowing into it, and all it took was one market downturn to turn this golden token into digital toilet paper. I mean, in 1 week, Luna has gone from $80 a token to less than $1. This chart is just hard to look at, I'm warning you.
Whoa!
Not to mention, UST, their stablecoin, is still depegged. And at this point, I think it's safe to say it's...
One quick meme. So we're all poor? How does that make 700,000 ape feel now? I bought it because I like the artwork. Oh. Come on, all right? I appreciate the finer things in life. What's not to love about this hideous monstrosity? I mean, even by the standard of whatever this line is called, are these the bored apes? I get them all mixed up, but this one is especially horrifying.
Over for Terraform Labs. There's simply no way to reestablish the trust that algorithmic stablecoins need. I mean, after all, who wants an unstable stablecoin? So today, we're going to try to explain what happened and tell the story of why I think this collapse was predictable. By that, I mean it was literally predicted. There was a $20 million bet about this. And I'm also going to be honest with you about what we don't know as well. Because before we move further, let me say loud and clear. As of right now, no one knows the true culprit for this crash. So far, I've counted 4 different and unique threads going viral, all claiming to know how Luna collapsed, and the explanation is slightly different each time. But what is consistent is their proof is, trust me, bro. In fact, my personal favorite of these explanations is the theory that Citadel, who's the GameStop supervillain, secretly gotten a 100,000 Bitcoin loan from Gemini, which is owned by the Winkle twins, and they destroyed Luna with it. Now, Gemini denied these claims, but who are you going to believe? A private company or an anonymous 4chan post? Kind of a toss-up, right? And I'm not even saying these are wrong. They just don't have any evidence. So that's where it stands with this forensic side of things. A lot of people claim to have solved it, but nobody seems to actually have done so. But while we don't know exactly what happened, I think it's important to say this crash also didn't surprise anyone. And I think that's worth talking about. There were a lot of people who have been calling for this for some time, and these were mostly for 2 reasons, which we've already discussed. UST was built on a Ponzi scheme, and algo stablecoins have sort of always failed, and we've covered those. But there's a third option that I really think has been overlooked in all this, and that is Do Kwon's role. Remember that Do Kwon is the creator of Terraform Labs, and what most...
Who out here is doing communist outreach to the people who lost on crypto? By the way, the bourgeoisie are always the culprit. This is how capitalism works. Deregulation makes it worse. Like, I'll be honest with you. Yesterday when we were looking through that Reddit, or the subreddit, was it either for Luna or Tether? I think it was for Luna. And it was just filled with suicide notes, and they've pinned the suicide hotline to the top of the subreddit. I think, like, in the pursuit of, like, laughing at crypto bros and getting crypto bro L's, people are missing out on the fact that a very large amount of people who are the ones who are losing out the most in this entire debacle are, of course, not the people who had hundreds of thousands of dollars to spend on a leisure of a hyperlink that leads you to a JPEG of a really, really ugly leopard skin monkey. Like, that's not going to be the vast majority of them, right? It's going to be people who were like here's the fucked up, one of the fucked up ones I read. Someone who had medical debt and they had like $1,000 saved up, and they were like, I just thought this could be an opportunity to triple or quadruple it so I could pay for my one of my family members like surgery, so that's why I did this, and I've lost it all, and now I'm beside myself because we have nothing. Like, that is heartbreaking, and honestly, a lot of the blame in that goes towards a handful of people. Some of them celebrities, like Matt Damon, what were you fucking doing? All right, you fucking promoting this shit. Paris Hilton, Jimmy Fallon, every one of those motherfuckers who has money to burn, way more money than sense, and can go in front of a camera and be like, look everybody, look what I bought, it's amazing, and it's gonna go up in value forever, and all of you should invest in them as well, because that's how we get more people to pour money into this ever-increasing Ponzi scheme. Like, fuck all of them. They're absolute scum, wretched scum of the earth. And then there are the hustlers. There are the hustlers online who are trying to give everyone FOMO, to get everyone to feel like, holy shit, I'm missing out on this. I have to buy Doge, right? I have to buy Doge. It's only going to go, line goes up to the moon. Holy shit. Elon fucking Musk, the richest human being on the planet, who everyone regards as a Robert Downey Jr. Iron Man like savior come to like bail out humanity. He's one of the worst fucking people for this whole thing. He can make crypto rise and fall with a tweet, and he fucking knows it because he does it all the time to manipulate these markets. 1 month, it's like, hey, by the way, we are now investing billions of dollars into Bitcoin. Then the next day, it's like, hey, by the way, you can buy Teslas with cryptocurrency. And then all of a sudden, nah, we're not doing that because I looked into it, and apparently it's not very energy efficient. So we're just gonna have to wait until we find another thing. And the rubes who follow him all eat it up as if he didn't know that, as if no one told him. Like, it's a haha funny for the lulz, the epic big chungus Elon Musk didn't know that cryptocurrency is actually very energy intensive. Yeah, he fucking knows. He knows all of this. He has these powers because he's unaccountable, because no one checks him on this shit, where he can do and say things and make stock value go up and down. And he knows that, and he does that on a repeated basis. So all those celebrities who decided at a time when they were already incredibly wealthy to take yet another paycheck to slang an NFT, whether it be YouTube celebrities like what's his face, Jake Paul, whether it be Floyd Mayweather, whether it be Matt Damon, Paris Hilton, all of you are scum and your participation in this should be accountable. For the super rich billionaires who keep trying to make Bitcoin into this incredibly lucrative thing that can pull you from a rags to riches story, also absolute and utter scum. Elon Musk, scum. And to people online hustling, you are scam artists. You are parasites. You are scavengers hoping that you can get every single person who has not a lot of knowledge in this topic to buy into your last man standing scheme. That's the truth of the matter. And all of them are laughing all the way to the bank. They're not the ones affected when all of a sudden these markets crash, because they could either be on the positive side of a rug pull, where they're the ones recouping all the money, or they know to pull their money out before things get a little too sketchy. And then they just sit back while everyone else is like, everyone keeps saying, hold the line. That's the meme, right? Hold the line, hold, don't sell, buy the dip, buy the dip. It keeps dipping. It doesn't stop dipping. It's gone from $80 a token to 1 penny. I mean, it cannot go any lower, can it? Should I buy a bunch more now? Because I could buy millions of them. It's only going to go, when does it come back? And that's the sad part of all of this, is they're the ones overwhelmingly fucked over by this entire fucking apparatus. And hey, and politicians as well. Don't forget Pierre Poilievre, or whatever his name is in Canada, who might be the next Prime Minister of Canada, who's now saying that he wants to remove the power of the Bank of Canada by making cryptocurrency a more effective thing. Like, all of these fuckers, every single one of them.
What most people don't know is that as Luna became more and more successful, Do Kwon slowly became more and more arrogant. He would dismiss all his critics and call them poor. And I believe this played a role, at least, in so many people rooting for Luna's downfall, if not actively playing a role in it. As I said, we don't know if...
I think, honestly, what the communist outreach for this should be is this cryptocurrency and everything that has happened here. This is a hyperinflated example of the worst things about capitalism. It is supposed to be something that is decentralized. It is not, because at the end of the day, in its essence, if you want to use cryptocurrency to buy real tangible things in the real world, you need to turn it into a centralized currency. It's supposed to be something in which the rich and powerful don't have the power to control. The majority of crypto assets are owned by the very wealthy. majority. A minority of people own the majority, and they use that power to manipulate the markets and change it to their benefit, while average everyday people hope to be one of the many lucky ones who jump on board a thing like a Dogecoin while it rises and then gets out in time and don't stay on board as it sinks, while all the memes and everyone around you is telling you hold the line, hold the line. Like that's the sad aspect of this. So this is once again capitalism ruining innovation, capitalism ruining an industry, capitalism ruining lives, and every single person who's gotten played in this process should come to realize that this is just yet another example of this process playing out. So fuck capitalism, come on board.
Luna's demise was like cookies. An attack or naturally occurring, but I want to give you some examples of this because I think we can learn from it about sort of what not to do if you suddenly happen to become ultra rich.
You can't get drugs with it.
So,
true.
On November 25th, 2021, a guy named Freddie Reynolds proposed a theory of how you could crash Luna with a Soros-style Black Wednesday attack. By that, he's referring to when George Soros broke the British pound. And he goes into great detail about how you could do this if you just had $1 billion on hand. He described a process where you could make $50 million and sort of rinse and repeat it until Luna falls apart. Now, in response to this possible attack vector, does Luna investigate? Does it implement strategies to defend itself? No. Instead, Do Kwon says this, probably the most thread I've read this decade. Silence is a perfectly acceptable option if stupid. And then basically he asks sort of to be attacked. He says, billionaires in my following, go ahead, see what happens. I mean, can you imagine the arrogance to taunt billionaires that are following you and going like, yeah, see what happens. Go ahead, attack me, see what happens. Now, look, I know the internet's kind of a wild place, but I usually think there are 2 rules to it that you have to abide by at all times.
Don't fuck with cats.
1, don't ever taunt the internet. And 2, don't ever taunt billionaires. And you certainly don't want to do both at the same time.
Wait, what? That's the only good thing about Twitter. It gives the proles the ability to make fun of the very rich. Like, there's no amount of money can make you unridiculable on Twitter. You can't buy that. I mean, Elon Musk is trying, but still, it's kind of failing. I mean, for outside reasons, but still, it's the only power we have.
Kind of arrogant response wasn't even an irregular occurrence. Rather than engaging with flaws in his protocol, Do Kwon would repeatedly call his critics poor. In fact, a few days before Luna collapsed, Do Kwon said that if you listen to crypto influencers about USTD pegging for the 69th time, or you could remember that they're all poor now and go for a run instead. And he repeatedly did this. He also taunted this guy, Al God Trading, who said, if Luna breaks new all-time highs, I will short it with size. And Do Kwon responds, yeah, but your size is not size. This guy responds, statistically, you're dunking on 99% of your community, but all right, someday your Ponzi will collapse. You can't keep fueling Anchor. And this is my favorite part of the story because that same guy then responds 4 days later, offering a $1 million bet that Luna will be at a lower price in exactly 1 year. Now, what does Do Kwon do? He takes it. Of course, he takes the bait. He says, cool, I'm in. And I guess that got enough attention because someone noticed it and decided that they actually wanted to raise the stakes. GCR on Twitter decides to offer a $10 million bet. Do Kwon once again agrees, and they decide on the escrow being another crypto Twitter user, Kobe. And so right now at this address, which we will put on screen, there's currently a 10...
There's people starving. There's climate change, potential world wars, pandemic. Really? I mean, what the fuck? Who are these humans?
$1 million bet going on the blockchain. This is real money we're talking about.
Oh my God.
Literally just put up to see if Luna's going to fall or not, which obviously 2 months later it did. But even that wasn't enough for GCR, who at the time decides he wants to double the bet, saying the initial spirit of it was this like, yeah, your size is not size, whatever, like kind of a weird insult. Weird way to say you're poor, basically. Mm-hmm. And so he says, look, we're going to play for big money. I'll double it to $20 million, to which Do Kwon doesn't respond. And so instead, what this guy does is he decides he's going to short Luna with the remaining $10 million that he wanted to bet him with. Now, for those of you following along at home, this is what we call a Chad move. this guy would end up cashing out with $16 to $20 million profit. And it shows how much Do Kwon pissed everyone off, not just the quote poor people, but actually the richest part of crypto Twitter. Remember, he literally asked billionaires to attack his protocol. And to make it even worse, he also began attacking other competitors around this time, saying about stablecoins like DAI, by my hand, DAI will die. And it was sort of this unique combination of arrogance, antagonism, and disregard for criticism that contributed either directly or indirectly to Luna's collapse. People don't like a sore winner, and it's fair to say that Do Kwon had to learn that lesson the hard way. My point with sharing this isn't to suggest that the only reason Luna collapsed is because this guy is kind of a jerk. Because remember, they were basically running a Ponzi scheme. But being a jerk, along with sort of running and benefiting from a Ponzi scheme, definitely doesn't help. And the other bit of news we learned in all of this is that CoinDesk reported that Do Kwon was secretly behind a failed stablecoin in the past called Basis Cash. He turned out to be anonymously involved, going by the pseudonym Rick, and his partner was called Morty. According to CoinDesk, he modeled the project after an earlier project called Basis, which you may or may not remember as the failed project of founder Nader Al-Naji, the creator of BitClout. So that's where we are with this story. A lot has come out, and while I hold very little sympathy for Do Kwon's failure, I do feel bad for all the traders who got swept up in it. For example, KSI claimed to have bought 100,000 Luna, claiming it could be the, quote, best or worst trade of my life. He later says he spent $2.8 million buying the dip, and that his Luna was now worth $1,000. Ouch. And that's not even to mention the regular investors
I don't feel sorry
who
for
don't
him.
have millions to spare. I mean, I cannot stress this enough. Billions of dollars have been wiped out over.
Yeah, like I don't feel bad for the millionaires who have money to burn and are just like, haha, that's kind of funny. I lost $2 million in this scam. Whatever. I don't have any pity for them. You have to remember again, for these things to work at the levels they do, they require tons and tons and tons of regular people to pour money into them. That was one of the problems with the whole NFT scam, was that like Paris Hilton and everyone else promoting those kind of things, they need regular people to start pouring little extra savings they have into this because once, thousands and then tens of thousands and then hundreds of thousands of people start doing that, there's then enough money for the scammers to pull all of their cash out.
Overnight. Like, Reddit communities are being makeshifted from supporters into support groups. Like, I don't want to show you guys too much of this because it is dark. Yeah. Some investors lost houses, others lost life savings, and that's truly sad. But we can't forget about the painful lessons things like Luna can teach us. In this case, it's sort of three things. Don't taunt internet billionaires, don't build Ponzi schemes, and beware algo stablecoins. That's basically it. Pump the stock, and I'll see you in the next one.
Oof.
Do you enjoy the Serfs but prefer not to have to use your eyeballs? Many are saying this. Well, we've got the solution for you. It's the Serf Times in podcast form, available on most major podcasting networks now. If you enjoy it, please consider leaving a good review and feedback because it really helps the show out, apparently, and it's free, just like the podcast.
To our gods, Xander Corvus and Peyton L. Just, we are prepared to embark on a mighty jihad in your name. To our monarch, Tom Spiker, we are but your humble jester, attempting in vain to get you to laugh. To our valiant knights of the Round Table, Benji Arnie, Tech Tink, Scary Earthhuman, Tony, DM Rivera, Resident Scarecrow, Sir Nickus, Mayred, Cheryl Alvarez, Ruby Kelly, Brandon, Words Greenwood. It doesn't matter what I believe, it only matters what I can prove. Egbert Celine, Matthew Scarborough, Stellar Vision, Ariane McCarthy, Daniel Sutton, Coulter Smith, Jenna Tao, Quiet 185, Anna Loves Riley, Omni, Riley and Anna, Poodlehawk, The Tim Caucus, Multimondi, Trevbot, EXE, Brian Ephraim, Lemmy 101, Anthropophojack, Saren 42, Catherine, Ramona Costa, Incosin, Agent NDN, Violent Orchard, Political Puppy, La Media Panza, Zach Christensen, Todd Buckingham, and Todd Lajeunesse. We raise our mugs and salute our brave heroes off to another glorious conquest.